Wait, before we get started, we have a new Patreon supporter, Tony Perez. Yes. So thank you so much for your contribution. If you're interested in supporting the show, you can find our Patreon in the link or in the bio below.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to the podcast. On this episode, we're talking to a good friend of ours, Clint Barnard-El.
So Clint's a model, and he's been modeling for 10 years now, actually getting paid to model. And yeah, he's got an agent and everything, so that's what we're talking about.
And, you know, the main point of this conversation is really... It's true of all creative endeavors. You have to have thick skin. You can't take things personally. And you know what? It's that struggle to be confident enough to call yourself a professional.
Exactly. And so that's where the conversation really pivoted around the fickleness of the modeling industry, not taking things personally. You can find the link in the description below or in our bio. And if this is YouTube, it's coming right up. But enjoy the show.
Enjoy the show, guys.
So I was recently picked up by my agent. Yeah, the agency that I'm with, Select, we have an office in Miami, and I was recently picked up by them. So that's pretty exciting, you know, just getting repped into two different markets. Okay. Because it's, you know, pretty different down there in Miami. So it's pretty excited about that. But then turns out she decided to part ways with them. And this is normal in the industry. I mean, there's so much change happening. Mm. And
so wait, so she brought you down there to be a part of that, and then she left?
Yes. Yeah. Like my agent here, you know, sent, you know, a package there just promoting me, and you know, she felt like, okay, you know, this could be a good deal. I think that he can work in this market, so you know, we'd like to take him on. And I booked one gig through her, and that was it. And then last week got a notification that she decided to leave. So they're changing things up down there. It's like, oh, but this is normal. Like I've had at least 4 agents that have come and gone, you know, over the past, I don't know, 9 years.
Yeah, right.
So, but yeah, you just get used to it. I mean, it's fashion, so, and business. So things are constantly changing, evolving.
Right. Well, or you could put it that it's seasonal.
Right. Yes. But I'm bump. Yes, it is seasonal because, you know, you could be hot one minute, working like crazy, and then the next minute there's not a whole lot going on.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Which, you know, and this is why, you know, just mental stability and just, you know, having that, being grounded. Emotionally, you know, psychologically, spiritually, what have you, is important because there's so many extremely talented artists, you know, whether it be makeup artists, stylists, models, that just get burnt out and, you
Tell
know,
me about it.
Make their exit.
Yeah.
Because, you know, there's a lot of rejection. And in the beginning, it really took, I really took it personally. Yeah. Like, there's something wrong with me. Like, what's wrong with me? Like, why didn't I get the job?
Yeah.
And then I start replaying, you know, everything that I said, everything that was spoken to me, their body language, you know, just these minor gestures that they made during the casting. And I was like, maybe that was a bad joke. Like, did I squint or something? I'm like, let's replaying every little thing. Like, you know, I should have wore a white shirt instead of a black shirt, or, you know, I should have wore shorts instead of jeans. It's just, but
yeah, people make decisions so quickly about that. And I think that's one thing that, you know, and we can get started here, seeing we've already kind of gotten started. We're in conversation. We're in, I wanted you to do it again right when I started. We're in conversation. We're in conversation with.
All right.
That one wasn't on purpose. Okay.
All right.
We're in conversation with. Now you're supposed to call.
Yeah. Oh. So we're in conversation with Clint Barnard-El. Clint, we usually start off with you giving a little introduction about, you know, who you are and what you do.
All right. Well, my name is Clint Barnard-El. I am a model, commercial model. I've been under contract for about 9 years, and originally from South Florida, Miami to be exact, and lived all over the place. Spent some time in Michigan where I studied engineering, and after I graduated, came back to Chicago where my family had relocated to from Miami, and been here ever since. Off and on. Lived, spent some time in Cape Town, New York, Miami. Just trying to chase wherever the market pulls me, whatever direction the market pulls me in, and yeah, it's been quite a ride. It's been lots of highs and lows, but I'm really excited about all the great opportunities that this industry has created for me, and more importantly, just the awesome artists that I get to work with.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well, it's we right before we had started coughing into when we were introducing you, we were talking about how basically what you're saying was that auditions and going up in front of people you really don't know, and this is the same thing in the film industry where you go in and they reject you for something so small and so minute, and it is the only industry, fashion, film, art, where they can do that, right? It can be because your eyebrows are a little too high, or that your ears are a little skew, or they wanted somebody with a handlebar mustache and you're rocking a push broom right now. It comes down to those little tiny details that you get rejected for. And it's really hard to, first of all, you'll never know why, right? What put somebody over the other. But you were talking about kind of just like the acceptance of that, not really getting bogged down in that reality and being like, what should I have done different, rather than just being like, well, they didn't pick me. That's just because that's what they weren't looking for. So now I'm going to go try something else.
It's like, I think on the last podcast, I said the same thing. One of my mentors said that for screenwriting, she wanted to get rejected 100 times. She never got to get rejected 100 times, but the idea is to not try to get rejected, but hope you get rejected 100 times, to realize that you'll never get rejected that many times in a row before you get something. So it's like it's
100.
Yeah, right, exactly. And you won't get rejected from 100 different modeling gigs in a row, like in your
I've
entirety.
come close.
Right?
I think I've
Right.
come close. Especially in the beginning, there was a lot of no's. A lot of no's. Oh man, and a lot of the times, you don't get feedback. I mean, some of them are generous enough. I'll reach out to my agent and ask them, and then they'll follow up with them. But I mean, if you're a casting director and you're sitting, for hours and hours and hours, and you have dozens and dozens of models, coming through, how do you? It's like, oh yeah, like that model at 2:59 that I saw on Thursday. The issue with them was,
Yeah, right.
Like, how do they know?
Yeah, well, especially like with the film, like doing auditions in film, for the most part, you pick out the person that you want right then and there,
Yeah.
And it's only happened one time where we picked somebody, and then the next guy that came in just destroyed that guy and was better than him, right? Which was so crazy. It was so crazy.
Because they were one right after another, and
one right after another.
One guy hit it like 95% of what we wanted for the character. I'm like, okay, but he did one thing wrong, and that was at the end he added a line and it was like, idiot. And I'm like, no, that wasn't the character. But other than that, he got it perfect. And the next guy comes in, does it the same way, but doesn't do the idiot. And it's like, oh, he was like 99% right for the part. So we had to go with him.
Right. Right. But yeah, like you said, they see a lot of people. And actually, you know what? When I was interning at Northlight Theater, and I got to talk to the casting director there, she was like, that you get discounted automatically on stuff that you're like, wait, but why did that matter? Like your headshot, right? You come in and it's like, listen, I can tell if it's a good headshot or a bad headshot, and if it's a bad headshot, this is already over. Like, I'm not even bringing you in for an audition type stuff. And I think it's because it's so highly competitive, right? Yes. That you almost have to be, you got to check off all of those little checklist parts, right, in order to even get into that room to then be judged again on something nonsensical. Well, not nonsensical, but something so minute.
Yeah. Something
right. And it's super fickle and super subjective. So, for all you know, like they could have just gotten off the phone, with their, with their spouse, and they're in the middle of a fight, or they just, just had some bad spicy food over lunchtime. They're just like irritable. And then you come in and they're just scowling at you. It's like, it may not have anything to do with you. And
right.
Just,
well, you know what? There was a study that came out about judges and rulings. And it's like the judges were more lenient right after breakfast and right after lunch. But right before lunch and right before they were going to leave for the day, that was when they had the most harshest judgment. So if you have an audition, try to make it for 1 o'clock so that it's like, they probably had lunch. They might be a little nicer to me.
Right.
Or maybe 8 a.m. right after breakfast.
No, I think you're onto something. I've heard something similar like that. Also in business, Fridays, like you said, Fridays after lunch, because it's the end of the week. Like you said, they just ate, and that's the best time to ask for a raise. And for the most part, like I'm, going back, first job out of college, and I think it worked more than half the time. Like, don't ask on Monday. Don't ask first thing. Not 9 o'clock on a Monday morning.
Right.
No, don't.
Yeah.
Another thing my professor also said, when you're interviewing, you want to lean forward, because it implies that that you're just engaged and interested, as opposed to kicking your feet up, crossing your leg, leaning back.
Yeah.
Body language is key. And,
are we all leaning forward right now? We're leaning forward. Are you leaning forward on your side?
I'm leaning forward. I'm leaning forward. I'm like,
it'd be pretty, I want to get the job. Obvious if
we lean back, I mean, we got a lot of headspace.
Yeah, right. We kind of sink into the couch.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, they're very interested and engaged. Like, look at him. He's leaning back. He's got his hand clasped behind his head. Right. He's just, it's not very interested.
Yeah, right. So what are some of the things, some like interesting type situations you found yourself in while trying to model? I'm kind of curious as to how you fell into it. Because 9 years ago you said that's when you really started. Was like was it the age old story of somebody walking down Michigan Avenue and stopping you and going like,
I wish.
You,
that
sir.
Rarely happens.
Right. And then he was in a big fox fur coat, and he's like, I'm going to make you a star.
And then hands you his card. It's like, meet me.
And then you went there, and it was just a lamppost.
1 in a million. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Like that. I think, it still happens. Like, there's skill scouts, all over the world that are looking for talent. And, you hear of models like, I think Giselle Bundchen, Naomi Campbell, like those like big time models, like they've been, just plucked off the street, and then next thing you know, boom, they just explode. But no, it was, I've always, had an interest in, art and fashion. I grew up, just sketching and writing and just, spending a lot of time in my own head and expressing it creatively. So I've always had an interest in it. And I started the clock 9 years ago, because that's when I actually got signed, picked up by an agent. But before that, like I would set up test shoots, with photographers just to experiment, just to, create, partner up with these artists and create awesome images, just building up my portfolio and going out there, going on castings and open calls, just pounding the pavement just to get picked up. Mm-hmm. And granted, I wasn't very good in the beginning. So, I look back, the late 2000, early 2010s, and I'm just like, oh my God, like, I cannot believe I walked up in the Fords, Ford models with images like that. It's just like, I was so bad, so bad. But I was excited. It's like, you don't know. Like, right. So there's some, I was just excited about the opportunity to just be there. And then you walk in and then you see these models that have been doing it for a decade. So they're experts at it. It's like, I started when I was 15. So 25, like I'm, top of the, bringing my A game. And I come in my rinky dink, Polaroids or, digitals, and they have, these large professional hard leather bound books or portfolios, and they're showing me theirs, and I'm just like, oh shit. I'm like, I think I'm a little bit out of my league, but you know, I'm here now, so we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see. And just doing what I can to have a positive attitude, because yeah, you can it can be brutal, you know, especially when they just look you up and down and, you know, reading you. And, you know, most of the time, in my experience, they haven't. I think, you know, for girls it's different, it's probably even a bit more competitive, but they also, you know, make a lot more money than the guys. So maybe that's, you know, maybe why it's, you know, more challenging for them, because you hear the stories about you walk in, it's like, you know, what's up with your eyes? Like they're a little too far apart, or, you know, your ears are too pointy, or could you get them pulled back, or, your lips are too full. Like maybe you can do something about that. I actually had fix your face. You see this? Can you fix this? Can you fix this?
Everything else is fine.
Then you'll be a good model. But could you fix your face?
From the neck down, spot on. But this, do something with it, will you? That's how it was in the beginning. Like Ford models, like they're, you know, legendary, you know, powerhouse, international, you know, modeling talent agency, and you know, they have an office here in Chicago. I'd say they're, you know, one of the big boys, you know, here in this market. And I figured, let me just go for the big fish, you know, just go for it, as opposed to like, you know, starting small and then working my way up. I figured, okay, they're the biggest, you know, one of the most successful. So let me just try to get a book through them. But yeah, they said no. And they said no again. And they said no again, like for probably 2 years, you know, I tried to get with them, and they rejected me 3 times. The 4th time is when they said yes. But that was after I got scouted, flew to Cape Town, and started working a ton, had a lot of great success, and then came back, and then Ford was like, okay, you know, okay, we'll sign you now. I was like, oh, that now.
Right.
But you know, not speaking ill on them, it's just very competitive. And in this market, Chicago's a smaller market. New York, LA, they're a lot larger. Chicago's a pretty large market, but it's different. It's, you know, more commercial as opposed to the fashion industry. Right. You know, more fashion, more commercial print than, you know, editorial fashion type of a market. And because it's a smaller niche market, the clients, when they see someone they like, they'll just book them, you know, to continue to book them over and over again. So what if they already have a model that, you know, similar build, skin tone, hair? It's like, okay, we already have a handful of models, you know, similar look, that are working a ton. Clients really like them. So we really don't have a spot for you.
Right.
But I didn't see it that way at the time. I was just thinking, like, what's wrong with me? It's like, okay, you know, I shouldn't have eaten that burrito last night. That's I feel feel a little bloated this morning.
Yeah, right.
But
I think that's really interesting, the kind of journey that you went on. You kind of went after the big fish and then realized that after bumping your head into the ceiling a couple of times, you're like, all right, well, let's try starting and getting some work done. And I got very similar to the way that we went about it, too. Not that we were going and trying to pitch to Universal Studios, which I guess would be comparable.
But the first thing we tried to do was
a feature film.
And that
we learned a lot from it, which I'm sure you'd say that you learned a lot going in with the hard bound stuff. Do people still have their photos and their portfolios in a hard leather bound even to today?
There's
do
some
you have one?
I do, but I don't use it. Like I have a tablet. Everything's digital now.
Okay.
You know, when your agent or you're, you know, putting together packages and sending it out to potential clients, it's all digital. But there's some clients that are, you know, traditional, old school. They're like, they prefer, like, if you come in with a little iPad mini with your you know, images there, you know, they prefer that you have like an actual physical copy. You know, some people are, what do you call it? Tactile type.
Tactile, yeah.
They prefer to feel and turn the pages and about the experience of like flipping through a book. They prefer that.
Yeah, and those high quality photo prints really do have a unique smell to them as well. So there's probably it's a feast for all the senses. The eyes, the colors pop. You get to smell, the feel of the leather, the smell of the leather, and everything. And then of course, they lick the pictures too, just to make sure that they're high quality.
Absolutely,
you gotta activate all 5 senses there.
The lick test.
They get really close, and you hear the binding of the book
crack open. Yes, it's
yes. Oh yeah. I could see that being fantastic. Actually, you know what? That should be a short film, like a 3-minute thing of just somebody and everything, single sound and feel that somebody has when they open up one of those books.
And then we can call it The Good Book.
The Good Book?
Yeah. Just crack it open and...
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. But sorry, I didn't finish to answer your question.
Well, I interrupted you.
Yeah, right. So you
don't
apologize.
How do you
just say, "Hey, asshole, I didn't finish my sentence."
Yeah, thanks, Frank. You're killing it now. No, but yeah. So how did So let's go back to how I got picked up by a
right.
pretty reputable, well-known agent like Ford Models, agency by Ford Models. So I was testing, just networking online. This is back when Model Mayhem. It's a website, kind of social media type of that. I don't even know if they still exist, but it was it's like this digital platform that just brought all, creatives together. Mm-hmm. So you'd have filmmakers and writers and makeup artists and models and actors, all underneath, all just networking, just communicating. You create your profile, you have your bio, you can post your images, kind of like, social media type platform, but for creatives. Mm-hmm. And I would just network with, photographers in the Chicagoland area and try to connect with makeup artists and set up test shoots. Mm-hmm. And we would, come together and collaborate. And, we're all new. A lot of them weren't, signed by big agencies, and we would just test, and at the end of it, like everyone gets experience. Like I get professional photos and I get experience in front of the camera, the photographer, more experience for them, the makeup artist, whoever does the styling. And, it's a win-win situation,
Sure.
without having to invest, hundreds or thousands of dollars in professional photo shoot.
Right.
Because a lot of the times, and they say this in the beginning, that when you're, looking to become a model, like you shouldn't expect to invest a ton of money in the very beginning. Mm-hmm. Just, when you're uploading, when you're applying, to these agencies, they'll ask for just very simple snapshots. Back then they call them digitals because, people would take the, digital image of you, just natural jeans, t-shirt, very basic, natural light, different angles, and send it out. And if they like you, if they see something, that you would be a good fit for them and for their client base, then after you sign, they'll send you back out, partner you up with photographers, that they have relationships with or are currently signed to them also. Because, because they rep all sorts of creatives. And then you would, expect to invest, a couple $100 up to $400 for a test shoot. And you to get 8 to 10 rock solid professional photos.
Sure.
For your book. Sure. And then you're expected to just continue to test, keeping it updated, keeping it fresh, experimenting with different photographers, different styles, because every photographer, has their own way of shooting, has their own method. Like it adds value. It's like a resume, you got to, actually, no, not like well, I mean, it is a resume, but you're not expected to, bounce from job to job. You don't want like, oh, I've had 10 jobs in 10 years.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's kind of interesting because I think that there's a couple points I want to touch on, but I think that, a big barrier to entry, is, for any artist, is that idea that it's like, okay, well, I don't have the camera, I don't have the connections, I don't have the money to go and try to start doing this. When in reality, that's not even really what they're looking for when you're trying to start off. Like what you said, like they're just looking for some pretty, standard stuff. They want to see what you can do. And there's always opportunity for collaboration between, We just talked about this with Jason Waite on the last podcast because he's an animator and he just went out to colleges and he was like, it was like a feast. I just picked people up. I was like, hey, you want to be an animator? Nobody's doing adult animation in the UK. Let's go. I got this project, and and in that instance, though, there was a little bit of money that was being exchanged. But for the most part, it was going to be a lot less than if you were to go to, someplace else that could have it professionally. Well, not professionally done in that sense, because I'm sure those guys would consider themselves professionals. But where the big ticket items where you'd go to a big photographer.
I don't know if that's necessarily where the barrier to entry is, because I feel like the real barrier is going from that to actually getting paid to do it. And that's the shift that I think a lot of people, because not to negate your point there, that is if you don't have any idea how to do it, then yes, that is like, how am I supposed to do this?
Okay, well, maybe not barrier to entry, but a way to deter people from attempting to do it. Like, if you were interested in it, you're
right.
Like,
I guess it goes from the people who are weak-willed and just like, oh, I want to be a model, like, but don't really have any passion for it, versus the person who's like, I want to be a model. I mean, if you want to be a model or you want to be a filmmaker, there's plenty of ways to create films, and especially now, you don't have to pay for print now, so it's like hey man, I need some work to build up my resume. You need work to build up your resume, but at a certain point, you actually want to be paid to do your job, and
right.
And that's the critical juncture there. It's like, at what point do you get enough of first gear so you can jump to third gear? At what point can you make that jump, and at what point?
Well, I think that what he pointed out, though, it's like, Clint, now you're just observing a conversation between us. I think what Clint ended up pointing out, though, was that there is kind of that path, right?
Right.
That models know that it's like, okay, well, I'm not going to get paid to do anything until I get an agent, or until I get signed by some sort of an agency, whether that's a low tier or if you go, Clint's route and try going for the big fish.
But I think it's also to the point where you got scouted, right? So people were scouting you?
Well, yes. Yes and no, because it wasn't like I was, it was just, I just got lucky. There is no, okay, there isn't a particular route that works. I mean, some people get plucked off the street, some people word of mouth, some people, just, submitting their stuff, online, or just posting images. And then a photographer, sees their image, connects with them, the photographer has a connection, with an agency, and they'll connect the two. Like, there's no, yes, there are traditional routes where you go to the website, you apply, you upload your images, and you wait to hear no. or no response at all. But in other instances, let's take it back to, how I, how I got scouted, so I was testing and networking, and a friend of a friend, a friend of a friend, she's a makeup artist, big time makeup artist, lives in New York, worked with all the biggest clients. And she said that, and she was flipping through my book, because I said, I'm just really struggling. Like, it's been years, and it's like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I'm really trying to get picked up by, an agency, and it's just not a whole lot happening. And she's flipping through, and she's like, your book needs to tell a story. And I feel like it's just a hodgepodge of all these just random images. Like, it doesn't really have flow. And she's, giving me a lot of, constructive, a lot of good feedback and advice and perspective. And she said, what you need to, I have a friend of mine, his name is Ernest Collins. You need to work with him. Like, he's a really good photographer, and he's actually local here in Chicago, because she was in town for a job. And I said, okay, Ernest Collins. So that's how it happened. This big time makeup artist connected me with this photographer, excuse me, and set up a test shoot. I tested with him on Saturday. A week later, I was on a flight headed to Cape Town. It all happened within a week. Wow. I tested the photos. They came out great. He sent them to a scout in Cape Town who had friend of his, he already had a relationship with. And this guy, Didier was his name. He, lives in that area, and he just scouts. That's what he does. For a fee, he'll connect, he'll bring talent to agencies. And Didier said that, can he come now? Fashion Week is starting soon and he could work. Mm-hmm. And Ernest said, can you be in Cape Town in a week? And I was like, yeah. And at the time I, was 4 years in, I had engineering degree. It was 4 years, trying to climb the corporate ladder, just, I don't want to say miserable, but not a whole lot of passion. It was just job security. It's like, okay, if I'm an engineer, I'll probably not have a problem finding a job, and I'll probably, make a decent, comfortable living. Yeah. So let's just go with that. Not very passionate about it, but it was safe. So, that's, the backup plan in case these creative aspirations doesn't work out. So I'm like, so I get this safe, cushy, it wasn't cushy, but safe corporate gig, making a decent salary. I'm going to just quit and fly, thousands of miles, from home and try to be a model. Like, who does this? Like, I'm not 15, 16, 17 years old, which is like, when a lot of them get started. Right. So by the time they're in their mid-20s, like, they're experts, like they're at the top of their game, and I'm starting late. But, I was that, happy and passionate, and I had, people around me encouraging me, like, you should do this. Yeah. Like, do it. My husband, Craig, like, he's like, if it doesn't work out, then, hey, at least you tried. Right. So just do it. So I emptied my savings account, gave my 2 weeks notice, and flew to Cape Town. And terrified, just nervous. I'm just like, oh my God, like, well, what are you doing? Like, what if none of this works? And you'll come back home, you have no money and you have no job, and you didn't get picked up by anything. Like, you didn't work at all. Mm-hmm. But so it's just leap and the net will appear type of thing, like leap off the cliff, build the plane on the way down, I just, swung for the fences and it worked. It was an amazing experience. But I think because I was just so nervous and tense about it, because I was just like, I gotta work. Like, a lot of the experiences, like, I missed. I was not in the present moment. I was just freaking out about, like, oh my gosh, like I'm signed by this agency, Base Models in Cape Town, and I'm thinking, like, oh crap, like, they're advancing me for accommodations, because they'll set you up with housing and transportation and, front you a little bit of money just to hold you over until you start booking jobs, because, it is a business. The fashion business is in it. You have to make money. Like, you may be, attractive, or, the, best looking person, in your, in your high school, or in the town that you're from. But, when you walk into, an audition or a casting and you see 20 other clones, 20 other Clints, I'm like, and they're all attractive, and they all have great bodies, and they all, have been working. So why would the client book you instead of them? So it's more than just looks. It's more than just, body. Like, it's being professional, being punctual, like having personality, because you could just be deadpan and don't really know how to carry a conversation. You have amazing photos, but they look at you and they're just like, okay, does this thing work? Right.
Yeah. Right.
Yes. So,
well, the one thing that you keep mentioning, and the way that this whole thing spiraled into something, was networking. Yeah, and we keep on talking about how important networking is in any sort of business or art or anything, because people tend to do business with people that they like. And in this case, like that makeup artist introducing you to, and how quickly of a turnaround that was, that's the power of networking, right? Because you don't know when those opportunities are going to pop up, and that's why you have to constantly be doing it. So when you're doing that online and you're talking to people and trying to work it, any way that you possibly could, and then you end up in Cape Town a week later, and then there you go, and that's the way that stuff works.
Right, and it goes to one of our previous podcasts with Josh Graveldinger. He had mentioned the same thing you said about how it's so important to have a voice and to like know who you are as a model or as an actor, because when you do go in there, you're going to see 30 people, 20 people that look exactly like you. You only have your voice. And I guess the whole arc of that conversation was really knowing your craft, and that's how you can develop your voice. So it's like the more experience you get modeling, the more of that voice you'll have, not only as a personality, but also that gets reflected in all the pictures that you do.
Confidence. Yeah. I think that's what you're speaking to, because, you could, like I've seen it where, I'll see the lineup or, and they'll, would start out for, they'll do, a cattle call where they're just like, come one, come all. Like, if you're interested, this is what we're looking for. And they just put it out there into the ether. And the next thing you know, there's 100, models, waiting in line, to get in front of this client. And then they'll dwindle it down to, 10. And then you go in and see like, okay, I made it to the next round of castings, and you see the 10 guys and like, okay, this person, like, they'll totally get it. Like they have a ton of experience and they have, way more fit and way better looking than the rest of us. So the client's totally going to go with that model. And then they go with someone else. So you're like, what, that's who you chose,
Right, yeah.
And it's the person that, made them laugh or, just, was, a little bit more, confident and not, and not overconfident, not, full of themselves, just down to earth and relatable and could converse and just, engage them in a way that's unique, because you have to be unique in this industry because everyone's good looking. Okay.
Right.
Everyone can take pretty pictures. So
Especially
why
in
you?
the model industry.
Yeah, we take pictures. But going back to networking, yes, it's huge.
Yeah.
And it's always great when, someone would put in a good word for you, or, I did a test shoot, with this stylist or this photographer, and they would point me in the direction of, hey, you should work with this photographer, or you should ask your agent to put you in front of this client because, I've worked with them, and the type of talent that they book, have similar looks as yours. I'm like, oh, I never even thought of, reaching out to this client. Like, I didn't think that I would be a good fit. And they're like, oh no, like someone that's already in networking, someone that's already in and have a relationship with the client could help connect the two of you. So,
right. Yeah.
So yeah,
it's the most powerful thing known to mankind, I'd say, is networking. And
right, because we're a social species.
Right. So knowing somebody that knows somebody is like the most important thing, and that can put you over there. That could be part of your voice too. It's like, oh yeah, like if you can walk into an audition, right, and everybody's like, oh yeah, this is Clint. Yeah. It's like, oh, I know Clint. Yeah, he did that thing for Vogue that one time. I don't know if Vogue is a magazine that you'd even be in. That was the first magazine that popped in my head, though. Right? It's like, oh,
GQ.
yeah.
GQ.
GQ, there we go, GQ. Right? Oh, I remember that. And he did, and you know what? I know the owners of that fashion, and they said he was just fantastic, And they have this like, oh, yeah, and maybe not necessarily about like, oh, he's like so well respected in the industry, but like that personal connection that maybe somebody knows somebody that's worked with you in the past, or that knows you on a personal level.
Definitely pushes you over the edge.
Right.
Especially
just think about if somebody,
think
about if somebody was like, comes up to us and goes like, talking to us about modeling, and then we plug you in right away, right? Because you're the only model that we know. Do we know any other models?
Please do.
I don't know.
But in that case, right, like right now, we can connect you with a really well-known fashion photographer, Carlos Chinchilla, right? And we had him on the podcast too, but I mean, we worked with him, I don't know, back in 2013, 16? 2016, geez. And
no, 17.
Somewhere in that time period. But he's really well known. He does a whole bunch of great stuff. And in New York, and he agrees with you that New York, there's something different about New York. Chicago doesn't really have a fashion scene. New York has a fashion scene. And it's an international city, not just a city.
Right.
Isn't that the way
and incredibly competitive. Holy cow. Like, I went there and I got my ass handed to me. It was brutal. But again, like I didn't know any better.
Yeah.
So that naivete could, like because you're unaware of, the rules of engagement, you make mistakes, but sometimes it could create opportunities, for you that aren't readily available for people, like me at the time who didn't have, a ton of experience. Like I was, back in the country, after just, experiencing a ton of success, in Cape Town, and figure, okay, I got to keep this momentum going, because a lot of talent, they do this. Like they'll spend, 2 to 3 months in one market, they country hop, like they just hop from country to country because, and just because you want to be like that fresh face. I think that, that I had that advantage because I was an American, so you have the accent, but, I'm African American. So, I could pass, as, as a local guy, but until I opened my mouth and realized, oh, American.
Yeah, right.
But it's just like, I'm different, this fresh face. But when you've been in the market, for, months and months and months or years, then it's like, oh, we've seen this, we've seen that guy, a couple of times, like,
right.
Send him back to us when we, when he's, has some experience under his belt or has worked with some other photographers, like some new fresh images, for us. Right. So, once you have, reached that, that tipping point, whatever that is, then you just leave the market and go someplace else. So, right. Some models, they'll spend, the summers in Miami, which makes sense. And then they'll spend, 3 months, in New York, and then they'll go to LA and try to get work out there. And but you'd have to, have the foresight, to plan in advance and save your money and be very strategic about how you move, because, momentum, there's a lot of value in creating and sustaining that momentum. But the industry very competitive, especially, with the internet and social media. Everyone's a model now, if you're good looking, you take nice pictures, you can call yourself a model. Jack, you had mentioned something earlier about, getting paid, to create art, to do your work. So, it's one thing to call yourself a model, but not be signed to an agency, not being paid, to shoot, to create. But that's when I start the clock. Like when I was picked up by an agent, because I had tested, and I had gone to auditions and go see castings, just trying to get in, but never got picked up. And I was also paying, like every now and again, like I would figure, okay, enough of these, these free test shoots. Like, let me, pull out, let me put aside, a little bit of money to invest in myself and hire, a pretty solid photographer, not top tier, like middle of the level, or, a photographer just starting out, because, I think it's important to get compensated for your work, for your art. So yes, it's great to collaborate, and not have to have any cash being exchanged, but it's also something else to, I value you as an artist. You're phenomenal, and I'm going to pay you for it.
Right.
And I'm not going to try to, try to negotiate out of that, some type of compensation.
Right. Right.
So,
it's a constant struggle in the artistic community. Right. Like we were just thinking about this the other day about how we were talking. I can't remember why music was something that we were speaking about. Who were we talking to then? Oh, right, Asher. And he was talking about how like he'll get like somebody will come up to him and go like, because he's a musician, and and they'll come up to him and go like, oh, hey, could you play this gig? It's in 3 days, and we're not going to pay you, but it'd be great exposure. And he's like, God, that's so terrible. It's such a terrible feeling not to be paid. But then he's like, even if at a point he's like, well, yeah, sure, I'll do it because I got the free time. I love playing music, so it's not a big deal. And then he finds out that it's 3 days away. Yeah. And we got a little joke going with him that we're going to do some sort of a documentary type thing where when somebody asks him to do that, he'll actually try to put together music in 3 days and then just play it, and it's going to be awful.
You just kind of get what you get there. It's like 3 days. This takes time to get this right.
Right. But yeah, but like you fall into that trap where it's like, oh yeah, well maybe, you know, like maybe there's something there where we can, you know, get some like a theme song or something for the podcast or for stipulations or anything else like that. But it's like, no, I value him too much to try to go to him and go like, hey, exposure, because then you start using the same bag of tricks that you hate so much, you know, and but at a certain point too, there is an opportunity for collaboration to help each other out. But the goal is eventually to get money exchanged from other people, and I think that gets kind of muddied around a little bit too much. Where it's like, well, at what point does that happen? And I think it's really a gigantic mashup between the two, where you do stuff for people, but then you're also getting actively trying to get paid for other stuff, and then it's kind of making this ecosystem or you're just enjoying what you're doing. It's like the whole point.
That's how it was for me in the beginning. I'm like, this is fun. Like, I'm just, you know, wide-eyed, bushy-tailed. Like, this is great. Like, you know, like, what an awesome photographer. And they're taking pictures and they're just not very good. But I was still excited because, like, wow, I'm on set and there's a crew and, you know, like there's this stylist just starting out and there's this makeup artist, you know, who's, you know, has, you know, a couple years of experience under her belt, and this photographer that's, you know, was gracious enough to, you know, to let us, you know, basically, you know, just offer up his services at no cost, you know, to create something great. Like, I'm just grateful just to be in the room. Like sometimes, you know, over time you build up your confidence and you go from, I don't know if I'm cut out for this. Like, I'm not good enough. I'm not this person or that person. But, you know, and over time, when you get so many shoots underneath your belt, you start to believe like, okay, I'm supposed to be here. Like, this is like, you know, I belong here. Yeah. I mean, I'd be the best, you know, but, you know, we're creating and we'll pull it out, you know, we'll put it out there, publish it for public consumption and that's it.
Right.
And try to not have an attachment to how it's received.
Yeah.
Not everyone's going to like you. Not everyone's going to like your look. Yeah. They're not going to like, you know, your body type. They're not going to like your, you know, whatever. And just try not to take it personally. It's just, it just comes with the industry.
And, you know, it's a powerful experience, I think. And a lot of people, I don't think a lot of people ever do experience this, partly because, you know, they want their safe job or they just don't want to pursue, or they think what they want to pursue is it doesn't even have to, like, it's not even just for the arts. I mean, a lot of this stuff can get thought of as something only artists can enjoy their job, you know, to an extent. But I don't think that's true. I think a lot of people just, they focus on other people's assumptions and how they can project themselves. So like a person who wants to be, you know, own a gravel business but loves maybe gravel, or, you know, just loves the business side of that. I don't know.
Where did that
I love rocks.
What's a gravel business?
Well, yeah, people have gravel businesses. That's why they transport gravel to places. It's a big thing. It's a thing that you never think about.
We just found out that Jack wants to get into the gravel industry.
Gravel business, okay.
That's how I'm saying.
Jack's gravel.
Jack's gravel. Anyway, but I'm just saying that's something that, like, isn't very luxurious. You know, no one's saying like, "Oh, you're in gravel." Like, no one says that shit.
I would be very surprised.
But if you're
it's probably very lucrative because we're always building something.
Right. Yeah, but if you're really passionate about that and you really like, you know a lot about it, you know how the market works, you know all this stuff about it, and you're like, I'll never pursue that because, you know what, you know, being an attorney is a better status, you know, or is I hate it because he does a lot of contracts for gravel companies.
Right. He just wishes he could break through that contract and go to the other side.
Right, because he knows how it works or he knows how to make it more efficient, you know. But people just don't jump and do it because either, you know, it's like in the arts industry, everyone says you're crazy. You know, it's like, oh, you want to be a model? You're going to give up an engineer job, Clint, to be a model?
I couldn't imagine the conversation that you've had to have.
Oh yeah.
You're gonna give up. You're gonna
like you got the safe, great job. You're an engineer, you know, and you're gonna quit that to be a model at your age? Get out of here! Like, no. It's like, what? Like, why? Why?
Right.
But, you know, and this is where, you know, like you said, you're like, Jack, just, you have to have some passion behind it. You have to really, your heart has to be in it, because most of the time you're going to be rejected. It's 99% rejection in this business. Like, you're going to get a lot of no's, and you're going to get a lot of criticism, and it may not always be pleasant. And don't take it personally. Have thick skin, because, but yeah, I took this acting class, and the instructor, she's a working actor, which I prefer that, instead of, I want to be a supermodel, I want to be a model, I want to be a working model. I want to be paid to create art. Like, that's way better. Because anyone can be a model. It's like, okay, are you paid to do this? Because otherwise it's Amanda Seals. She said, like, there's, in creatives, artists, it's like, is it a hobby or is it a profession? Like, you can't call your, like you do art as a hobby until you get paid for it. Like, not unless, like, something along the lines of, like, just, creating that transition. If you're not getting paid to do it, it's a hobby. I'm like, oh, okay. Because I was calling myself a model, but then there's also, just speaking things into existence, thoughts become things, because I was calling myself a model long before I got signed.
Yeah. So. I have to disagree with that quote. because we're filmmakers. We've never gotten paid to be filmmakers, though. I think it's yet. Well, it's eventually going to happen. I mean, how much content do we have to put out before somebody goes hey, maybe those guys got.
Well, I think that the object of it is, it's like, it's like there's, like, you're a professional, I think, when you get paid, right? That's like the main thing.
Okay, yeah.
But like
professional.
But like, I feel like it's at a certain point, there's a threshold where it's like, this is no longer just a hobby that you do on the weekends.
Hobby sounds like a state of mind type thing, right? Where it's just like if somebody were to come up to you and, like, talk to you about modeling and be like, oh, so you model, like, once in a while, right? And you're like, yeah, I really enjoy it. It's like, oh, great. So, and you're like, yeah, it's just a hobby, like, I just do it because I like doing it,
Yeah.
And, a lot of times, a lot of people back when, when we were starting out and stuff, they're like, oh, what a great hobby. It drove me crazy. It drove me absolutely up a wall. Up a wall. It was because what a great hobby it is to make short films. And I'm like,
hobby makes it seem like
it like trivializes it. Like it's just something that you just do.
Eventually, you're going to grow out of it,
or you're going to continue to do it for your entire life, and then your great grandchildren are going to find what you did and be like, wow, why didn't he do that professionally? Right. Instead, he was like I feel like
hobby would be like one of those things where it's like, where you're like someone's like, hey, I'll pay you to do this, and you're like, hey, I was just doing this for fun. That's what I feel like when it's hobby.
Okay, I like that better. Yeah, hobby is like doing it for fun versus because there's intention behind you all creating this art, filmmaking.
Right, it is, but it's also fun.
Right,
you can't say we're not doing. If it made us suffer, then we better be getting paid for it. right. It wouldn't be worth doing it for free.
Right.
Exactly. But back to my original point about the gravel business, that kind of got a little convoluted because everyone was like, gravel
if anybody has any information about gravel businesses or a market that Jack can enter, you can go ahead and send that, and we'll look at it.
What I'm trying to say here is that I feel like there's a point in life where people tend to just think there's this misconception that only artists can have fun at their job, and I also think there's a misconception of people thinking that their job equals suffering. Like, if you want a good job, you got to suffer for it, or not suffer for it, but suffer through it. Like art you suffer for, but your job you suffer through. And I think that there's this point where I think if anyone was like, if there's some person who wants to start this gravel business or start this company that
now he's looking for co-founders, Clint.
You want to?
They're getting inspired.
He's looking for co-founders for this gravel business.
Or you want something, or you want to do something. It doesn't matter what it is. It can be like, I want to own a little grocery store. I want to open a lemon shop, or I want to do a gravel business, or I want to become a filmmaker. It doesn't matter what it is. You have to go for it, because there's that moment where, like you said, you're going to be in this flow state where you're like, wow, I'm here. This is what I'm doing. This is what I want to do. This is who I am. this is why I do it. It could be that moment where you sell your first big pot of gravel.
They come in pots, we're not quite sure.
Or it could be that one time where you finally pitch that script and you get it made. Or it could be that one time where they're like, you know what, Clint? We need to do a whole 10-page spread of you on GQ. And you'll be like, this is the moment. This is where I know what I'm doing this for a living. Like, this is so freaking awesome. And I think that a lot of people miss out on that because they think their job equals suffer. I must suffer through this to get money to enjoy something on the weekend.
Right.
You know, and I feel like living for the weekend or realizing like, you know, I hate my job. I fucking hate it. If I made, one of my friends said, if I made $10,000 more a year, I'd be happy. It's like, no, you won't. You won't. It's not going to make it any better. It's going to make it worse because you're like, God damn, now
I
making...
really can't leave.
Yeah, right. Now I'm making more money and I still hate it, you know? And like
salary versus hourly, yeah.
Right. And I had that moment when we shot our first thing for, the first thing we ever shot for money. And I remember we were shooting it and I looked over and I was like, you know, kind of pseudo directing something. And I looked over and I'm like the lights were on. Frank was behind the camera. We just did the clapboard and we're watching the thing. Yeah, of course, Frank's always swearing, as you saw previous to the podcast.
I don't like things to be left to the last second, and that's my.
Well, that was that whole shoot was kind of left to the last second, but anyway, but there's that moment where I was just like, the thing stopped, and I'm like, man, dude, I can't wait until we're getting paid for this, and then the light bulb came up like 5 seconds later, like it was a delay. Bing! It's like, oh, you are getting paid. We're getting money to do this, and that was an incredible moment that I feel like everyone should experience because it is really like that's when you know you found something,
right?
And that's why we continue to suffer through it today.
Yeah, right.
Suffer,
but you also love what you do, so like,
right, exactly.
Like it's like you know, it's about the journey. Not to sound like a cliche, but it is because you know you're going to spend more of your time not working than working. Right. Most of us. So you'd better enjoy the experience because if you're miserable, you know, if it takes, I don't know, it's a slow season. So it takes 6 months before you get that next gig. Like, are you going to be miserable for 6 months until you get that job that, you know, only lasts a day or two and then you're back to just being miserable? Like you better enjoy this experience because it's, you know, because you're going to spend more time in pursuit of than actually in front of the camera.
That's true.
You know, creating art, you know, for pay.
That's true. Right. Yeah.
So
like either you have to sit there and just wait, or you don't wait anymore and you just start doing as much stuff as you possibly can. We were talking, our uncle was over yesterday and he brought up, he's like, so when's that show about the working out for filmmakers going to come out?
Oh,
because he listened. That was the first episode of In Conversation, and I had just mentioned it because I was like, I don't know if anybody's done that for filmmakers because filmmakers are either really fat or really skinny.
Yeah,
like there's no like middle. There's no people in shape doing film, which is kind of strange because there's a lot of heavy stuff that you got to move and you got to be kind of in shape. You know, cardiovascular. You got to kind of because if not, I mean, I guess. Yeah, well, either way, then you get a lot of sweaty fat guys, which is just not the best place to be because most of the time you're on a closed set, you're in like a 4x4 room.
And for sound, you can't have central cooling.
Oh, right, you can't have cooling air on. It can really smell like a zoo.
Yeah. Well.
But but I told him like, oh, we were just kind of razztazzing about that. Like we also were thinking about doing or not thinking about, but we also have an idea for like a mockumentary about squirrels and bunnies and stuff that I don't know in combination with this and the stipulations and everything else when we could ever have time to go and shoot that and then try to put something together. But you keep yourself busy, right, in between the times that you're getting paid to do other stuff and.
Right. And that's what, the test shoots and, just having very active on social media because it's a thing. Like I'm not an expert. Don't claim to be. And sometimes I get in my head and start getting jealous. I'm just like, how does this person 10,000, 100,000, million followers? I'm like, how how do they do it?
Well,
but
if
sometimes,
we knew, we'd tell you.
So sometimes like they get jobs just like there's sometimes like I've gotten emails from my agents. The client is looking for models that have at least 25,000 followers or more. That's
really
all they want. I'm like, well, I'm out.
Yeah, right. That's kind of disingenuous. Because you can buy followers, like, if you want. I know, but if that's like your weird number thing,
but you don't want to, because that doesn't result into actual engagement. But I feel like how do they get there? It didn't happen overnight. Like you only hear about these models when they get 1 million followers, and then you're like, where the hell did they come from? And you realize that their first 50 to our first 100 posts were all like where you were. Like I think you're hovering at 1,000 now.
Right.
For followers.
And
I'm going to tell you right now, when you opened that, I was beating you on followers, and now you're over 500 over me. So if you keep doing what you're doing, it's going to keep compounding. Right. It's going to keep getting better and better.
Right. Just don't stop. That's the big thing.
Yeah, don't stop.
Don't stop.
Don't stop.
Don't stop. Like right now, we're actually starting to gain a little bit of momentum, which is kind of strange because we were just talking to Jason Wade about engagement and audience building last week. And I was like, man, it'd be nice if we got 1 to 2 more likes a week. Or followings a week. And that's what's actually kind of starting to happen. Now it's not going to happen because I just jinxed it. But
no, it's going to happen.
Right. Right. But it starts as a trickle, right? Right, exactly. You start with a little trickle. It's like turning on a faucet or turning on a hose, right? You do a little bit of a trickle, right? And then all of a sudden the trickle starts to go a little bit faster. And then before you know it, you got this thing that you can't even control. And it's just constantly moving on its own. And that's when you start to hear about, people watering their lawn. They're like, oh, they're watering their lawn. But you didn't know that it took so long for them to get the thing open to get the water flowing in the first place. It took a long time.
It always happens out of nowhere because no one's aware of it until it happens.
Right.
Out of nowhere. Like, you weren't looking at them. So how would you know where they came from? It's like, where the hell did that come from? Right. It's like, it came from behind you. You weren't looking that way. If you were looking, you would see it was very slow.
They've been pumping and pumping for years. And then now, I joke, it's like it took, and I've heard people say this, it took me 10 years to be an overnight success. In my case, it took 8 years to be an overnight success. They didn't
Ray Kroc said that.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Ray Kroc said that about McDonald's. He's like, I was an overnight success, but 30 years is a long night.
Yeah.
Wow. I like that. Yeah. Because they don't see it. They just see boom, this person has arrived and they're killing it, and they're like, well, how, what makes them so special? How are they, snatching up all the gigs? It's like, well, you didn't know that, they were grinding for 6-7 years of getting nothing but rejection.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
how many times I wanted to quit?
Yeah. Right.
Right. You just have to look at and it's also a certain point, the quality wasn't good in the beginning, but as they kept doing it, the quality gets better. If you have a person who you subscribe to on YouTube that has 1 million followers, scroll all the way down to the first thing they posted, and you're like, this is what it started as.
Right.
You're like, this is awful. I watched this one person, and he has a set that he does the stuff on, but the first thing it was a little chop block of something. He was he was darkly lit. He didn't speak very well, and it wasn't funny, and it didn't really show me anything that I didn't already know. And it's like, that's where everyone starts. And then you only see the person when he has 1 million followers, because you're like, wow, look how great he's doing right now.
Right.
It's like, of course he's great. He's been doing it for 6 years.
Yeah, right.
You can't imagine someone's just like, I've arrived.
Mm-hmm.
No one does that except in soap operas.
Right. But it's so easy to get sucked in and just misunderstand people's journeys based off of, social media, because you just see just nothing but just all, just all these perfectly edited images, and you're scrolling. It's like, wow, they just woke up like this.
Yeah, right.
It's like,
they must
no, they didn't. This took years.
Yeah, right. Because they posted that at 9 o'clock in the morning. They must have just woke
up this way.
They just woke up and click.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Well,
it's not
we
they edited that photo for hours.
Right. Right. I guess what we really have to do is we got to at least do some sort of an introduction to you and Carlos. Because I don't know why I didn't think of that before, but we'll definitely make that introduction. Not that you guys
that'd be great.
Do work with each other or work with each other right off the bat, but you never know. Because I don't know, maybe he's looking for a handsome, tall man that just so happens to match your description, Clint. And it's like, oh well, look at that. Hey, we just made that happen, and then we do take 45% commission though for our networking.
Yeah,
so
45%.
Right on.
We'll cross that bridge when we get there.
I mean, only 45%. I mean, because you're a friend, it's 45. Usually it's 60.
Yeah, right. Usually it's 60.
Okay. That's almost like how they do it in Europe.
Oh,
is that the way that
70% commission? I don't know if it's still like that, but it was very much. So when you see, the faces of Estee Lauder or Prada, Gucci, fragrance campaigns, fragrance campaigns and and makeup, like just the beauty industry, period, because it's huge, especially in France. And you look at them and they're like, wow, Chanel or Estee Lauder and these beautiful models, and they're the face of this brand or that brand. And they're like, they nab this huge campaign, international campaign, like they must be killing it and like working a ton and making a bunch of money. But they take 70% commission as opposed to the 20% standard, here.
Well, what
I was like, whoa, wow. Yeah. But if you're the face of, I don't know, Ralph, Prada.
Yeah.
And then you come back to New York and it's like, yeah, they, their fee was 70% commission, but you come back to New York and they're like, oh, you're going to work. Mm-hmm. Because, and that's what they did in the beginning. Like, I mean, they probably still do this, but they'll send models overseas, to prove themselves. It's like, if you can work there, then you can work here. So we're going to, go to London,
American
go to Paris, go over there and like prove it,
and then you'll make real money.
Yeah, right. Then you'll come back here and work in Knoxville, Tennessee. Like, oh, you got good in Paris, but you had no idea what's going on in Frankfort, Connecticut. Well, Kentucky, actually. Frankfort, Kentucky.
You've never seen the scene like normal Illinois, let me tell you.
You have to be good in Paris to be good here. But that just tells me that they really undervalue the modeling thing, or they're over. Hopefully, it doesn't get to a point where it's like, dude, it's 70% and Prada's nothing. Nobody pays attention to Prada anymore. Like, that's just not going to work. But it seems like they're eating their cake, or they're making their cake and eating it too, or buying a cake and making it, whichever way that usually goes. Anyways, having your cake and eating it too. There you go.
That's what it is.
Well, maybe you can come up with better words of wisdom than that.
Yeah.
Because that was my words of wisdom for the podcast. You're welcome. So any words of wisdom, something that you could maybe, I don't know, tell somebody that's trying to start off as a model or anything else, philosophical, free range.
Just, be grounded, mentally, emotionally, because that is so huge, because, if you don't have the thick skin, I mean, there's a ton of rejection in this industry. So you'd want to, fortify yourself, ground yourself in something other than, this industry, because, I've met so many really just amazing, talented, models and artists, but they get sucked into the party scene because, drugs and alcohol and just partying. And then they lose focus and they get distracted and get sucked into, everything that comes with being in the industry, and they fizzle out and they end up, quitting.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, wow, like that dude was amazing, or she was phenomenal. Like, why do they quit? Like, but because, just couldn't take the rejection, or, party too much, or, was unprofessional and, started, bad mouthing the client behind their back, or bad mouthing, agents or other, artists. And it got to the wrong person, and the person's like, okay, this person will never work in this town again, or something like that. So just being grounded, and, just confidence, even if it's doing something that fuels you outside of the industry. you know, like for me, it's, you know, it's running. And at the time used to compete a lot in triathlons. Like that made me feel good. It kept me in shape, and I competed, and it like boosted, it kind of like lifted me up. So when, you know, so when I do, you know, when I am going on the 20th casting, you know, and haven't booked anything in months, you know, just coming in with that, you know, with confidence and a smile and personality, so that, you know, it doesn't show. You know, just and networking, like you said, yeah, just network your butt off. Social media is huge, so figuring out that game, I haven't figured it out, I haven't mastered it yet, but it carries a lot of weight, it has value, and yeah, just having fun, like enjoying the journey, because, you know, you're not gonna be, you know, booking, you know, job after job after job. It happens, but most of the time, you know, most models don't, you know, just book consecutively, you know, for months and months and months at a time. So just, you know, keeping yourself busy, you know, having something else on the side. Some, you know, like if you're in college or just, you know, in between jobs and have the time to just do it full time, then go for it. But, you know, got to have something else on the side. And yeah, just networking, enjoying the journey, confidence. Yeah, having fun.
Great. Awesome. Great.
Yeah.
Well, Clint,
I feel like I'm talking in circles. Just like hopefully that made sense.
Yeah, no, it did. It did. So Clint, thanks so much for being on with us. Appreciate it. I'm sorry we weren't able to hang out today. But we gotta find out something or sometime for us to come back over and, you know,
hang out with you guys.
Yeah, see me in second.
Yeah, like, you know, we're here around. Craig's still recovering from dental surgery, so not doing a whole lot. Just hanging out.
All right, sounds good, man.
All right, appreciate it. Thanks a lot, and, you know, congratulations on the new show, Stipulations, and you guys are on YouTube now. That's awesome.
Yeah.